All right, let's dive right in. Welcome to this explainer. Have you ever walked away from a conversation just totally drained, thinking, why on earth did they just do that? It didn't even help them. Yeah, we've all been there. Today, we are unpacking a framework that treats those maddening, everyday human frustrations with absolute, deadpan academic seriousness. We're looking at Carlo M. Cipola's legendary essay, The Basic Laws of Human Stupidity. If you've ever felt completely exhausted by someone's totally inexplicable behavior and thought, man, there has got to be a science to this, well, buckle up. Cipolla literally mapped it out for us.
You know, Nassim Nicholas Taleb actually wrote the foreword for this work, and he completely hit the nail on the head regarding its tone. He points out this brilliant duality. When you're reading it, you constantly bounce back and forth between feeling like you're reading this incredibly dry, witty satire, and then suddenly realizing, wait a minute, I'm actually absorbing a rigorously structured piece of serious economic scholarship. It's playful, for sure, but the underlying mechanics he describes are very, very real. It takes a concept we usually just vent about at the water cooler and applies a surprisingly rigorous lens to it.
Just think about your own day-to-day life for a second. Have you ever been totally baffled by someone who just creates a massive headache for you, completely out of the blue, and gets literally zero benefit from doing so? I'm talking about the driver who swerves across 3 lanes and cuts you off just to catch a red light anyway, or the coworker who blows up a group project, creating an absolute disaster for everyone, themselves included. We run into these frustrating interactions all the time, situations that benefit absolutely no one. And Cipolla argues this is no accident. It is a fundamental, hardwired feature of human society.
Okay, so this brings us to the first of his 5 basic laws. Law number 1 states, always and inevitably, everyone underestimates the number of stupid individuals in circulation. It sounds a bit cynical, right? But Cipolla starts with this as his inescapable foundational premise. No matter how realistic or jaded you think you are, and no matter how high you estimate human stupidity to be, you are going to be recurrently startled by supposedly rational people making incredibly baffling choices. You simply cannot anticipate just how many people are going to act entirely against their own interests.
Now, because we are constantly lowballing this number, and because it's pretty much impossible to pin down a precise absolute percentage, Cipolla refuses to give it a specific numerical figure. Instead, he approaches the whole thing scientifically. He denotes this constant fraction of stupid people in any given population simply as the variable sigma. Giving it a Greek letter is such a great touch. It elevates stupidity from a mere annoyance to a mathematical absolute. It becomes a permanent variable you just have to factor into the equation of life.
All right, let's build on that because it leads directly to the ironclad second law, and this one is fascinating. It states that the probability of a certain person being stupid is entirely independent of any other characteristic of that person. Stupidity, according to Cipolla's framework, has absolutely nothing to do with nurture. It's not about your background, your bank account, or where you went to school. It is a genetic, inescapable constant that is distributed completely uniformly across humanity by the mysterious hands of nature, just like hair color or blood type. To really prove the sheer power of that constant, Cipolla actually looked at wildly different strata of society. He found the exact same fraction, that sigma variable, among blue-collar workers, white-collar employees, and university students. And what happens when you isolate a true elite? Cipolla tested Nobel laureates, fully expecting the number to finally drop. But nope, nature's supreme powers are undefeated. He found that the exact same sigma fraction of Nobel laureates were, inevitably, stupid. It's a pretty hilarious but honestly sobering thought. So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that we are dealing with a universal constant, but to truly diagnose these encounters and understand the actual mechanics of why people do what they do, we need to move from foundational constants into graphical analysis. We need to map human behavior out on a Cartesian graph to see exactly how individuals impact one another on a daily basis. To do this, imagine a brilliantly simple matrix to plot every single human interaction. The horizontal axis measures the gain or loss that you derive from your own action. To the right is a gain, to the left is a loss. Then the vertical axis measures the gain or loss your action causes to someone else. Above the zero line is a gain for them, below is a loss for them. This simple framework lets us evaluate the real-world consequences of anyone's behavior, completely stripping away all the emotion. Based on where actions land on this matrix, all of humanity gets divided into 4 distinct archetypes. If you take an action that benefits you and also benefits someone else, you land in the top right quadrant. You are intelligent. Think of a totally fair business trade where both parties walk away thrilled. On the flip side, if you take an action that causes a loss for yourself but provides a gain for someone else, like giving up your comfortable seat on a crowded train, you land in the top left. You are helpless. You're taking the hit to help others out.
And now we arrive at the golden law, law number 3, which reveals the exact coordinates of the stupid person. A stupid person operates strictly in the bottom left quadrant. They cause losses to another person, or even a whole group of people, while deriving absolutely zero gain for themselves. In fact, they might even incur a loss. This is that completely erratic driver or that toxic coworker we talked about earlier. They just drag you down without getting a single shred of benefit for themselves. It is pure, unadulterated loss generation.
This framework perfectly contrasts the bandit against the stupid person. A bandit sits in the bottom right quadrant. They cause you a loss, but they get a tangible gain out of it. If a thief steals $100 from you, you lose 100, they gain 100. It's nasty, sure, but it follows a pattern of rationality. You can understand their motive. The stupid person, on the other hand, has absolutely zero rational pattern. There is no gain driving their actions, which is exactly what makes them entirely unpredictable.
When you actually map out a frequency distribution of this, you notice something fascinating. Bandits are scattered all over the place. You've got highly intelligent bandits getting massive gains while causing tiny harms, and you've got clumsy, stupid bandits scraping by with tiny gains for huge harms. But look at the truly stupid people. They are heavily concentrated strictly along the negative vertical axis. They are just unwavering in their unrewarded destructiveness. They consistently produce minuses for others while hovering right around zero benefit for themselves.
Because their behavior is so deeply, inherently irrational, our brains naturally struggle to comprehend it. Which leads us right into the fourth law. Non-stupid people always underestimate the damaging power of stupid individuals. We constantly forget that trying to deal with them or associate with them infallibly turns out to be a costly mistake. We trick ourselves. We think we can outmaneuver them, reason with them, maybe even use them for our own schemes. But we are always wrong.
Cipolla spells out exactly why that never works. The sheer power of stupidity lies in its complete lack of logic. The harassment happens for no reason. The attacks have no structure. The timing is completely improbable. When a bandit attacks you, you can predict it and organize a rational defense because you know what the bandit wants. But against a stupid person, a rational defense is literally impossible because there's no logic to counter. You are caught entirely by surprise. Like we said earlier, it's like trying to play chess with a pigeon. No matter how good your strategy is, the pigeon is just going to knock over the pieces, mess on the board, and strut around like it won the whole shebang.
Which culminates in the fifth, and honestly, the most crucial law. A stupid person is the most dangerous type of person. Yes, even more dangerous than a bandit. Why? Because a perfect bandit simply transfers wealth. The pie remains the exact same size. It just changes hands from you to them. But a stupid person destroys the pie entirely. They cause a massive loss to you without capturing any of that value for themselves, leaving society as a whole mathematically poorer.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second and scale this theory up to a macro analysis, because this raises a really massive, vital question. If the sigma fraction, that percentage of stupid people, is a universal, unchangeable constant across time and geography, then why do some nations and societies totally thrive, while others just completely collapse? If the amount of stupidity never ever changes, what actually dictates the rise and fall of civilizations?
The answer lies in understanding a sort of dividing line for societal welfare. Any action that results in a net positive pushes society forward, while anything resulting in a net negative causes deterioration. The overall welfare of a society isn't actually dictated by that constant sigma fraction of stupid people, because we know that number is locked in. It never changes. Societal welfare is entirely dictated by the shifting behaviors of the non-stupid population.
In a progressing society, the intelligent folks are highly active. They are out there creating enough mutual gains to comfortably offset the inevitable, persistent drag caused by the sigma fraction. But in a declining society, the intelligent people falter. You start to see an alarming spread of helpless individuals among the general public. And crucially, you see an increase in bandits with overtones of stupidity sitting in positions of power. This deadly combination amplifies the destructive power of the sigma fraction and sends the whole system rapidly downhill.
What's really amazing is that in his original work, Cipolla actually provided a brilliantly simple blank appendix graph for the reader. The idea is to use this empty matrix as a literal tool to map out the people in your life. You put yourself right at the center, at the origin point. Then, based on the actual outcomes of your interactions, you chart your coworkers, your local politicians, your friends, and figure out exactly who is generating mutual gain and who is simply draining the system.
But hey, before you start secretly charting everyone around you and assigning them to the bandit or stupid quadrants, take a hard, honest look at the matrix for yourself. Evaluate your own interactions. Are you consistently creating mutual benefits, or are you accidentally causing minuses for others without even realizing a gain for yourself? Ask yourself, based on your own actions today, exactly which quadrant do you think you belong in?